This is the non-exam assessment for Adam Richardson, candidate number 4085, centre number 31260 and centre name Lawrence Sheriff School. Okay, so today I'm going to be showcasing the game software that I've developed. So we'll just run it. Okay, so when we run it, the main menu pops up. We want to do a new game. I've done multiple games already, so we're going to select test map because this will allow me to showcase all that is in this game and can be brought into the different game modes. You can select any player and it will start your game with varying stats. So we'll be a man. I'm going to call this test 4 because I do already have saves saved. So once we do that, the first room loads up. So this is a room which has been read in from a file, which is constructed for the purpose of showing this off. So the movement system all works, up, down, left, right, etc., using the keys WASD. So first of all, we're going to go up towards this door. And take note how I cannot walk through it currently. When standing next to it, however, I can interact with it, which changes its state. So this allows me to then open it and walk through it. So we're going to remain in this area for a little while. In this area, as you can see, are 4 chests. The 2 on the left are bronze, the one in the middle is silver, and the one on the right is gold. These are tiered, and the tier bases what the interior will be. So the bronze chests will have more bronze level items. The silver chest will have more silver and a few more gold, as well as some bronze as well, but the gold is the most likely chest to be able to get rare items, such as this one, which is also a unique item, so you won't be able to find this item in any other chest. Because once it has been added to the world, it is removed from the item list, which means it can't refetch it. So we're going to equip that because it's a fairly good weapon, and we're going to take this armor and equip that as well. You can also view the information for each of these. So this tells you its name, its defense. So that works there as well. It shows you it's a steel shield, defense of 20, so let's move that and we can equip that. So this is also another weapon. So it belongs in the same slot as this one currently. So when you equip it, to avoid losing either weapon, they're swapped, because you can't have multiple items equipped in any given slot, but this is a better weapon, so I'll equip that. I'll just show you how all of these are equipped to the correct slot to prevent any overlaps or anything stupid like wearing a helmet on your chest, as this wouldn't make much sense. So we'll go back to these and try find some other items. So we can equip all of those. So here we go, this is a complete set of armor. Now I don't want this just now because this will impede my showcasing later on in the game, but we do want the sword. Okay, so another thing I want to show you is the consumables. So here we have some berries, so you can use these and the player will be healed a certain amount. I started this game on half health just so that I could show this. So we'll use this as well, so that's increased our health again. Right, so the chests work by opening their inventory adjacent to yours. If I was standing nowhere near a chest, then just my inventory and the my equipped items are shown. If I'm next to an object which has also got an inventory, such as the chest, stand next to it, then its inventory is also open next to it. Take note of this inventory and then compare it to this one, because when I'm going to show now that when you stand in between 2 chests, it opens only one of them, and in this circumstance it opens the bottom one all the time, as this is the one that is checked last, so it's the one which is stored, the chest inventory, as it were. So over here we have a decoration. This decoration is stored in a list of decorations, so multiple could be added. At the moment, the class feature only has this location and the PNG for it. However, this could be edited in future makes of the game or developments, so that you could tell the room that it's being generated in to make tiles underneath it non-walkable, because at the moment we can just walk over it, etc. However, it will in the end add to the storyline or plot line, or just make the game look more aesthetically pleasing as well. So next we've got collisions. So all of these walls I can't walk through, but you obviously can see this diagonal wall in the middle. It's got to be there for a reason, so we'll show that now. So if you're in the correct position and you go diagonally through a diagonal wall, you can unfortunately go through it. This is as a result of the collision checking the player, who's actually a square the same size as these tiles. It will check this top corner, and if you're moving up and left, then it will check to see whether this tile is walkable or not. As it's a floor tile, it is walkable, so the player just happily skips through it like that. This is unfortunate. A solution would be to put walls on all of these areas here as well. That would definitely stop you walking through it. However, it would look bulky and possibly unaesthetically pleasing. The solution would be to check whether any of the players' picture box is inside these tile locations, but I've run out of time for that, I'm afraid. So next we have the different biomes showcase. So the room that we were just in up here, load again, this is the Shire. So you'll notice as we go into the next room, all the visuals change. This is as a result of this room being programmed to be a plane. So you'll notice that all around the border, the wall has changed. It is still a wall, you still can't walk through it. And the grass has changed colour slightly. It's not quite as pleasant as the Shire, which is lush and green. And also the interim doors have changed as well. You'll also notice here that the chest is not the size of a tile, it kind of goes on top. So as a result, the grass image is placed in the background, well, it's grass in this scenario. But so to keep it in fitting with all of the different biomes, the biome background tile is placed. So if we move on to the next room, you'll see that. So this is kind of like a wood chip floor. It's also surrounding the chest. So this room here is the forest. So we'll just showcase all of these biomes first. So in this room, this is the Elvish biome. So that will be used for the Elvish cities. This is the human city, much less glorious, much more dirty. However, then we go into Mordor, which is kind of all volcanic rocks, as it's in a volcanous area. So we based it off basalt and bricks like that, not bricks, stone. And next we go into Isengard, which, although was nice at one stage, since Saruman's turned evil, he kind of tore the land apart, removed all the trees, and turned it into kind of like an industrial area, which produced en masse orcs. I don't know if you've read the books or played games or seen the films, but that's a vague plot line for that section. And in this area, we're meant to be inside a cave of a mountain or something like that, so we've kind of got veins of rock surrounding us. All the time, again, this chest not looking out of place despite being smaller than the normal tile size. Similarly, if a door was in these rooms, then it would also have the background through the window of the correct piece, as we'll see when we go back up to the first room. So just bear with me. So one thing I may have forgot to mention while I was next to these inventories, but would have been possibly quite evident, I just used it without thinking. The move button would, oops, let's get that back. Literally moves one item into the other inventory. That's all it does. Right, so next we're going to go and explore the battles possibilities. So in the centre of the screen is what's meant to be a punch bag. It looks somewhat like a punch bag. Its background hasn't been removed yet, but these are only just kind of like representations. Okay, so I'm going to save the game first, show that this works, save successful, prove it's successful at a later date. In fact, no, we'll prove it's successful now, so we're just going to stop the game and start it again. So we'll load the game now, start 4, and click, not start, sorry, test 4. Actually, we'll just put something like that in first, just so you can see, can't find the user. So now we'll use the correct name and load it. So it loads our form up. So we're back here again, so we are in the same state. I'll just open up my inventory so you can see this weapon sting is still equipped, and all these items that I had before are still there. If I went back into the first room and went into, you can see the door is still in the state I left it, and all the chests have the remaining items that I left. So all the states of every object are recorded when you press save. Okay, so this is a passive enemy, and its pathfinding is also a minimum, so I walked into its range there, but it wouldn't otherwise follow you, so even though it was facing me. Right, so when this form loaded, you would have observed these gauges filling up. These are kind of like the amount of energy required to attack, or heavy attack, so that's why they're filled up at slightly different rates. Attack requires a lower amount of energy than heavy attack does. Kind of makes sense. So there is a cap on the amount of energy that you can have stored. So currently I'll probably be at max. So if we do this a few times, we'll get it down and then we'll attack. So right at the bottom, but then again, it fills back up again fairly quickly. And you'd have also seen before that screen disappeared that the health of the enemy was going down. Okay, so you've seen me being able to attack. My attack is based off the weapon I'm carrying, which is quite a powerful one. It's Sting, so it's one of the best weapons in the game. And then my strength, which as a level 1 player isn't excessive. However, I was only going against the level 1 punching bag with health of 100, so it's kind of fairish. So in this room, we're going to have an enemy that will see us straight away. It will do a bit of pathfinding to try and get to us. So we're going to let it catch up to us. Right, so as you can see, my health is going down because it's attacking me. That enemy wasn't passive, and then it killed me, so the end game thing appeared. So we'll load back up again. Let's remove that. Okay, so we're back here. Just so that you can look at the health going down this time, so concentrate on this section. So I'll do some normal attacks just to show it working. The normal attack is a fixed amount each time. The heavy amount is variable. You could have as much up to 3 times the attack, but you could also have just the same amount of the attack, and it costs about double the amount it does to do a normal attack. Right, before we go in and face that enemy again, I'm going to equip some armor, and this will put me in much greater chance of winning, because quite a lot of this armor, well, this one certainly, is much better. So we've got a full set of armor here, so it should be pretty hard to beat us, so we'll do pretty well. So let's go into this room here. Enemy again has seen us, he's going to do a bit of following, trying to catch up with us. So My health is taking small tolls every time his attack finishes, but I have one of the strongest swords in the game, and he has next to no health, so he was easily defeated. So in the next rooms, what I want to show you is not this combat anymore. There are enemies, but I wanted to show you how the pathfinding system works and avoids obstacles. So in this first room, we have a tall wall in between us, and the enemy goes around the top of the wall to try and get to us. So if I come down here, so my speed is slightly faster than the enemy's, but trying to avoid him in this is quite difficult, so because I have to keep double backing on myself. So eventually a battle will ensue, but this will be dealt with pretty quickly. So in the next room, similar to the player walking through diagonal walls, the pathfinding also will check past a diagonal wall, so it becomes a valid path route, which is a problem, and allows the enemy to go straight through and come get me. It's also worth mentioning here, the enemies are looking in my direction, so left, and that's why I'm being detected. There is a wall in the way which they shouldn't be able to see through, but I didn't get to that coding section, so at the moment they can see through walls, which is a shame, but has made it easier to demonstrate their pathfinding ability, because getting them to detect me normally and then quickly run around a wall would be quite difficult, and without them just following straight behind me. So this does develop their ability to move past walls. So in this room there's going to be two enemies, and they're both trying to find me and try and get to me. You can see that they're moving slightly slower, and I've just lagged a bit, partly due to the recording as well, because there are multiple pathfinding events going on at once, because each enemy is doing it. I've just accidentally gone out into a room I wasn't meant to. In this room there's also an enemy, but I can't get back because there's no walls, so we'll just quickly close that and run back to that room. I apologise. Oopsie. Test. So quickly run past all of them. So the player speed is alterable before the game is run as well. I've got it this fast because when going through lots of rooms like this, it annoys me doing it quite slowly, but for the actual game, the player speed will probably not be anywhere near as fast. Okay, so again, my computer's struggling a bit with the recording as well, but the enemies are both chasing me around this area, trying to find the quickest route and avoiding the obstacles and going around them. At some point they kind of go, oh, I've done it again, but you saw that they went close to each other, and as a result the overlap didn't work properly. So oops, stop this. So only one of the enemies could be kind of seen over the top of the other. So this was a small issue. Also, once they're kind of together, they follow the same pathfinding, so it's quite hard to see them. However, only one enemy can battle you at any given time, so it is the first enemy to come into contact. Right, so looking at other game modes now. So one method of creating a world is to hard code it. This example was formed in this Middle Earth, which was meant to be the story mode of my game. So just type whatever you want and continue logically, test 5. Okay, so in here there is an enemy that automatically spawns in each room in the same place. That's just how the room layout is being constructed. But if we wander around, you you'll see there's kind of a maze system. So I can show this by pressing the M button. So when the M button is paused, notice how I can no longer move and the enemy is also not moving. So starting at the top of this is the map. It shows the maze that you're currently in. So we are currently in this room here. It doesn't tell you that, but you can work it out from where the doors are in your room, what biome you're in. So we're currently in a plane which is shown as white. And we've just come from Shire plane, so there's not really anywhere else it could be. So you just have to use a bit of logic. It would possibly be better if your location were shown, but it's not, so you've got to use a bit of intelligence. So on here, all the different colours underneath represent different biomes. So here we have the Shire. Excuse me. Here we have the Elvish City. Here is a mountain pass. Here is the men's city, the human city. Here's Mordor, more mountain ranges around it. This idea was so that a black gate could be constructed, so there was only one path into Mordor. Down here they're all plains, because writing the code out for 100 different rooms, it takes quite a long time, and this kind of shows you the idea of where we're going with it. Okay, so we can close that again by pressing M, and the game is restarted. So we can have a little wander around, but that's all there is for this game mode. Oh, enemy found me straight away and defeated me. That's best to end that game mode there then. So that game mode could be developed into a story mode or game. So the final game mode that I want to show is this random world. So again, we're going to have an enemy spawn in each room, but notice how this time we've started in a plane, and if I open up the map this time, nothing is in the same place. As is a bit obvious by the sheer amount of plane there is, the numbers on the statistics for generation are a bit flawed. Some are too prominent and some aren't enough, so this is completely wiped around with plane, because this room itself is not overrideable, but anywhere it tried to expand to was just engulfed by the plane biome expansion. So the plane expansion needs a lower priority set to allow other biomes to come out again. So take note of this map. So if we run the game again, I can't, it should stop, then we can see that it will develop a completely different map. I don't know if you took note of the maze underneath the biomes as well, but they were also different. So here we started in a different room. This one's slightly better, there's slightly less plane. There's quite a lot of human city though, although everything is in a much better proportion other than the mountain ranges, which are just single mountains at the moment. But again, take note of how the plane has a lot of open doors, because when you think of a plane you can go in most directions. So this is part of the algorithm which knocks through walls, so depending on the biome you're in, it finds it more likely to knock through a wall or less likely depending on what sort of room it is. So if we were in a mountain, there's normally only one tunnel, so there's quite a lot less walls in there, whereas obviously in the plain, big open area, you can go through in most directions. So this sort of theme is carried out through all of the different biomes to varying degrees. Okay, so that's all of those. So there's the two game modes. These can also be saved and loaded. So these game modes would then be developed so that they have missions and targets, but currently there's just a platform so that people could create these worlds and you could then play on them. When they create these worlds, they could generate the interiors so that there were objectives. You had to go get things. You could have a locked door which you had to go through, or which was guarded by an enemy. So if it was quite an expensive treasure chest or something, and then there would be an ultimate goal of destroying a big boss. That's it for my showcase. This showed all the different features which could be implemented into my game, which I've accommodated for. Although a story mode of these features has not actually been created yet. Thank you for watching.